Good afternoon, meteorologist Bob Acanfrio with today's tropical update for Thursday, August 2nd, 2012. Well, much to my surprise this afternoon, we have Tropical Storm Ernesto. If you kind of looked at this depression this morning, it looked like we might not even have a depression anymore. But it kind of got itself together as the afternoon went along, got a little more convection around the center. And the hurricane hunters did find winds close to 50 miles per hour in the northern semicircle, which I'll show you on the visible satellite. You see some convection that did bubble up there on the northern side of the circulation. That's where they found those winds, and thus it's a tropical storm. Not the best organized tropical storm, which I'll show you in a minute, but we have one. Winds 50 miles an hour, moving quickly to the west at 22. So this system will get close to the island of Barbados by later tomorrow afternoon, then cross the islands near St. Lucia, St. Vincent area tomorrow night, early Friday morning, and then by Friday afternoon it'll be past the island. So expect some tropical storm conditions in these areas. We have tropical storm warnings up for the islands here in the Lesser Antilies, and expect winds 40-45 miles per hour, gusts 50-55. Moving pretty quickly, so it shouldn't be too bad across the islands. Pretty much for them, this should be an easy go of it. It's not a slow mover, and it's not going to strengthen much from this. Official forecast tracked by the National Hurricane Center as of 5 p.m. has this a tropical storm. We're going to have that west movement pretty quickly, and then again, we could put the big question mark here in the Western Caribbean, what it's going to do here. Will it strengthen? The official forecast does have it strengthening to a hurricane, although the models today have kind of went a little bit down on that. Not as strong as it was in this area as like it was yesterday, but still conditions could be favorable here in the Western Caribbean in about 5-6 days to make this a hurricane. And then from there, does it continue west? Does it get up here? There's going to be a weakness, which I'll show you. In the subtropical ridge here, and that'll maybe make it try to sneak up into Gulf of Mexico again. Way out in the future there, and we'll have to see what happens from there. And again, like I said yesterday, it's going to really depend on strength of system here. A weak system could continue just move west into Central America, and I'll show you that is exactly what the Euro model has right now. Or maybe, and probably more than likely, a stronger system will move farther north. So it's really going to depend on strength in here, exactly where it's going to move. Looking at that visible shot that I was just telling you about, you could see here, and you can see it's battling dry air. When you see these outflow boundaries shooting off, you see these shooting off here, just like that. That's really fighting off the dry air. And there's a lot of dry air around this system. It's also moving very quickly. We talked about the quick trade winds here. As it moves into the Eastern Caribbean, that's going to be a problem for this system. So between fighting the dry air, some shear, although the shear did lessen a little bit over, and if it wasn't for the lowering of that shear today, this system probably wouldn't have had a chance today. But that shear lowered just enough to really get that convection to start bubbling around the center again. And this is where they found the stronger winds. You see this big burst of convection here just to the north of the center, and this is where those 50-mile-per-hour winds were located. So again, fighting that dry air. You never want to see these outflow boundaries shooting out like this. This is all that dry air that's working with. Here's Barbados, and then we got St. Lucia, St. Vincent right here. So this system's going to cross right through there by tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, early Friday. Okay, looking at that shear, let's look at that real quick here. So you can see the stronger shear. There's a big upper trough to its north here. And this was that shear. But you can see it really started to die around the center here. It just lifted just enough to the north where it got mainly 15-20 knots instead of 25-30. And that made all the difference today. Shear forecast probably going to stay around the same, linger around that tightrope 15-20 knots. As it crosses the islands into the Eastern Caribbean, and then also fighting that dry air. So I don't expect much strengthening. It's probably going to wax and wane a little bit here as it comes through the islands into the Eastern Caribbean. So I'd expect about the same strength. Could get a little weaker, could get a tiny bit stronger, but not much variation from where it's at right now. If we look at the bigger picture here with the shear, again, here's that big trough to its north creating that shear. Now what's going to happen here is we have this tut feature here in the Western Caribbean. This is going to retrograde west just enough where if this system could sustain itself enough in the Central Caribbean, it could be really in a favorable area right here on the eastern side of this tut feature. And it's usually a good area for systems to strengthen here with great outflow. So that's why you're seeing the forecast here by the National Hurricane Center like, hey, there's that possibility. And that possibility is there. If we have a system that's still well together here in the Central Caribbean into the Western Caribbean, we could have a strengthening system. So that's out there, and we'll have to watch and see what happens. So really not much change from yesterday in that sense. And then the bigger picture here, the water vapor. Here's that big upper trough still there. Here's that tut feature right in here. Here's that tropical wave that's going to get us a little wetter here in Florida over the weekend. Depending on how far north this goes, could even get up into southeast Georgia, northern Florida as well by Sunday. And then here is Ernesto right here. And you can see still a lot of dry air sitting around this system. Okay, model runs today. This is what we have right now. You can see this, if you can see this squared line here, this is model consensus. And again, National Hurricane Center official track, pretty much near model consensus. Still a little bit of a range in the models. I'm going to show you here in a minute. We have Euro model weak and west into Central America. And then we have, now we kind of have a group of model now, although you see a lot of the ensemble GFS models are more to this western track than northern track. You see these little lines. The operational run of the GFS has it right near the Yucatan Peninsula here by about 5 days from now, and so does the Canadian model, and so does the NOGAPS model. They're all right in here. The UK Met is the farthest north right now. This is that squared blue line right here. This is the UK Met model. And then again, all the rest of the models right there. So again, we're going to have to watch for that weakness. Again, just draw a little question mark right in the Western Caribbean here. To me, again, I see this forecast as weaker west, stronger more north. And that's where I see it in the Western Caribbean right now. Just go through the models real quick. Here's the Euro model. Just put this into motion here, and you can see keeps the system pretty weak and right into Central America. Not much strengthening with the Euro, pretty much west. We move on to the GFS. This is for, excuse me a minute here, this is for Tuesday morning. We have Tuesday morning here, again located right near the Yucatan Peninsula. GFS not as strong as yesterday as far as strength, but still basically that track taking it near the Yucatan Peninsula, Yucatan Channel. The Canadian model pretty much the same here. It's about a day quicker than the GFS. So this is about Wednesday morning near the Yucatan Peninsula. And you can see just south of Jamaica and then near the Yucatan. And then from there, more than likely the gates would be open. Definitely if this gets near the Yucatan Channel, this is going to move northwest, and then we'll have to see what happens. But again, long way off. We're about a week away from that. So again, if you're living across this Gulf Coast region, just watch it. Let's see what happens, and we'll kind of find it's very interesting. Another feature here, that little wave comes across Florida here. Actually, the Canadian model wants to develop it a little bit here, so we'll have to see what happens there. Anything, we're going to get more rain across Florida than anything this weekend from that wave. And then we have the NOGAPS model. Just wanted to show you this real quick. Keeps the system fairly weak. Again, almost the same path as the GFS Canadian and GFS Canadian NOGAPS. All about that same path here near the Yucatan Channel. So that's about it for today. Again, just stay tuned, watching Ernesto. Have a long way to go. See if it survives the trek across the Caribbean, and then once it gets into the Western Caribbean, see what we have, and then see if there'll be any impacts across the Gulf Coast region. That's it for today. We'll catch you tomorrow.